National Let's Stop Shouting Day today. So yeah, I think I might be shouting at you, like
No,
not yelling, like but I think I might be very loud.
no, I
So
wasn't thinking that at all. Salam
I
alaikum.
was I was feeling that I might have been. So yeah, so we've taken the take, with this on, of course, maximizing the message, of one, self-care with what's going on in the world at the moment, and the effects that may actually have on us, and the impact on parenting. Because I certainly have recognized that I've been a little more, or a little less tolerant of noise, a little less tolerant of a few things, just because there's been a lot going on, and a lot going on in my mind, and there's a lot going on in the world, and I have to recognize the impact that has had on me, personally, and within my parenting. So yeah, I've been a little bit more shouty. So confessions. It is a bit tricky. Yeah. Um, yeah, but of course, the impact that has on our children, with confusion. They're just confused as to why we're sort of behaving like this. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
What's your take on this, sis? Yeah.
Um, I think, first and foremost, Assalamu alaikum everyone as well, welcome. I think first and foremost is that I actually haven't noticed myself being a little more shouty. And I think that is because, it's so important to, do your part in the world in the way that you can. This is how I see it. So this is just my personal opinion. Absolutely. There's a lot going on in the world, and I too have, my mind goes there and it doesn't probably not go there. And when in the scheme of like the things of our mundane life, you go, well, this is actually nothing, compared to what's happening, in Palestine and the rest of the world. So keeping that in mind, I'm like, well, what can I do in my world? I can't be there on hand and foot, but I can be my part in my surroundings. And so for me, that is making sure that I am looking after myself. So I am not that shouty person. And if I find that I am watching, I mean, I do watch, what's going on, and being, putting my 2 cents out there and whatever. And it's like when I notice like my temperature rising, it's okay, Daniela, just reground yourself. Is what you're doing pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And I think it's just that mind shift that helps me to go, okay, your temperature's rising, so something is off track. Let me just get back on track. And it doesn't mean that I negate what's going on. Absolutely not. And those who know me know I'm very passionate about, speaking up, against any sort of oppression, whether it be worldwide, whether it be local, whether it be in our homes. I think that's where,
Or whether it be within ourselves as well.
oh, that's
You're
exactly
a
right.
you're a strong advocate for that too. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think those biggest shifts of, that to stop the oppression. Oh, here I am going to get very animated, is when we stop it within ourselves, and that's the biggest form, I think, when we stop it within ourselves, because then that any type, it can't go any further. If it stops with us, then it stops with us with our children. It stops with us with our children in their school. It's standing up for whatever you believe in. Sorry, this has probably gone a little bit off track, but actually probably on track, and probably just the right time, because as I was dropping off my son to school this morning, you know, I have stopped him from going into a certain class, and that's rubbing him the wrong way. And yes, I could have got very vocal with him and be, an animated orchestra, which would have been great, but would it have worked? No. So I just kind of like, no, you can't do that. I'm not going to let you do that, or I'm not going to let you join. And it's just, I think, for us to stop that shouting, we need to be grounded in our own understanding, in our own self. And that's where, yeah, like, let's stop shouting. Is like, what's going on for you? What's going on for us is what I mean to say.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. That is a really key point. Yeah, recognizing what's going on for you, and that's sort of what I was sort of highlighting as well, because I want to be informed with what's going on in the world, and sometimes I consume a little bit more of the media and the images that my nervous system can probably handle at the moment.
Mm.
And so then I'm finding that it is having an impact on my sleep and having an impact on a few areas, because I am feeling like there's what can we do. There's not enough I can do, and I should be doing more. And then 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 you'll get that disconnected or off track child. And then I was just like, it's almost like, don't you realize what's going on? I've got a lot going on in here, that
Yeah.
that type of thing. And unfortunately we then start, sort of, well, I do. I can only speak for myself, and and what I know from other, working with parents and parenting journeys and things, is that then we ended up sort of spilling all of that frustration and angst all onto our little, onto our younger versions of ourselves. Yeah. And that's actually another thing too, is that my eldest daughter reminds me so much of myself, the good and the bad.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's she's a beautiful mirror for me. And sometimes my nervous system can handle that, sometimes it cannot, because I'm running this thinking in my head. It's like, I don't want her to go through the same stuff that I went through. So I'm recognizing that she likes to be right.
I'm only laughing because that used to be me. So
she likes to have the games when they're playing in the playground to be her way. Things like that. And I'm just recognizing little things for myself, and I have to stop and think about, my internal dialogue is looking at, I want to save her. I don't want her to go through the same things that I went through. Therefore, feel compelled to guide her in a way that so she doesn't have to go through this. And sometimes I get it wrong, sometimes I get it right, because it's but I have to recognize that this is my anxiety or my worry, my futuristic thinking that she might go through this. She may never go through this. I mean, and then she's on her own path, on her own journey as well. And so so I'm finding again that my nervous system is grated, and then I'm sort of like getting a bit yelly or shouty because I'm just so frustrated, right? Yeah.
And I think that's a really important key thing that we have to, recognize and understand, is that we are on our own journey and our children are on their own journey. And so we, made mistakes, we continue to make mistakes, because we're not perfect. We're still trying it out, let's say. We're still, we're human. And our role as parents is to guide our children, and recognizing where our thoughts are of that futuristic thinking. Well, I don't want my child to do what I do, because we don't. But we also got to let go of the reins and hand it over to Allah, because that's the true tawakkul. Obviously, with that, it's guiding them to do the things that are pleasing to Him, but not, you know what I mean, like, it not because what I see happening is that when we did something wrong and then we, learnt our lesson. And I'm only saying this, purely in a generic form. We don't want our children to do that exact same thing, which may or may not happen in any case. But then what happens is that us as adults or us as parents, our angst comes up. It's something that hasn't sort of been resolved, or because that past thinking is coming into the future, and we think, sorry, I've just got to go. I've just realized, can you put me on pause for a second?
I'm not sure if I can. Okay, we're flying blind here.
Burning.
Yeah. We are live. I am using a platform that I'm not that familiar with, so please bear with me, everyone. This one
Sorry,
may
it's
not.
off now.
Yeah, it's okay now.
Yeah, it's off.
Daniela and I do a program called Raw Some Reflections. So you can't get any more raw than this live at the moment. So perhaps it was just I mean, it's very raw. I love it. But may not have been the best idea to go live today. Perhaps, I don't know. But anyway, we've got what we've got, and we'll just run with it, right?
Yeah. Sorry about that. I just could smell it.
That's okay. That's okay. It's all good.
Yeah.
There was supposed to be 4 of us, but that's okay. So, you would have been able to run off, but it's all good. So with, I mean, bringing it back to the current events that's happening at the moment, what's your take on how we can sort of best support our kids and support ourselves and support our kids in order to just
I mean, I think the first part is for us to be, notice where our thinking is, where our thoughts are. Because if our thoughts are elsewhere and thinking about, I mean, obviously they can be, but it's just recognizing where they are. And if we find ourselves not being enough compassionate or having enough empathy with our children in that moment, then maybe taking a break, and recollecting with ourselves so we can look after our children, our children, and their they're our pathway to our future. And I think that's really my take on it, is really to look after ourselves first and foremost, because it does start with us.
Yeah, absolutely. What I've found that's been helpful for me is actually accessing resources that are actually aimed at children at the moment. There's a plethora of resources out there, and they're talking about things like, I mean, the history of Palestine, when and understanding why this is all happening, and so it's given me this. Yes, it's giving me a chance to sort of relax into I'm doing something, right? And then also, looking at ways of advocating and ways of supporting without having to consume too much of the actual raw material that's going out. I mean, we're all different. Some of us can consume more than others, but I know that there's a limit for me, and when it starts to affect my me physically and me emotionally, then it's like that's my limit. That's too much.
And I think another thing is having those open conversations with our children, like if they're asking us difficult questions, just listening to them, because when we listen to them, and sometimes we don't know the answers, obviously,
being comfortable in being able to say that too. Like I don't know. Hey, let's do some research with that about that.
And bringing it out of the things that are happening in Palestine. But sometimes we don't know, or even so, just on a generic way. But sometimes we don't know the answer, so it's okay if we don't know. But being open to learning and learning together. Because sometimes they, I'm going to say it like this, but push our buttons or whatever. And I don't mean that it's just basically they're off track. But being okay in those moments.
Yeah, the being off track is sort of, an explanation. It's sort of a language that we're using in the peaceful parenting program, where they've got we all have feelings and emotions, and sometimes we don't know what to do with them. And of course, developmentally, children don't have the cognitive ability to figure it out, type thing. So they've just got there's just got this energy that's happening within them, and the impulse is then to do something silly, or to do something that they're not thinking about, because their thinking brain is switched off in that moment. They're quite in their emotional brain, and so that is just an explanation of off track, if you're not familiar with that term. And our impulse, of course, if we've got a lot going on, is to push away or stamp that out to stop it. Whereas what we're actually encouraging, and part of the peaceful program encouraging people to do, is to actually move in and move closer to that, and support that in a meaningful way, which is what you've just beautifully explained, Daniela. Yeah, and it's great for us too. I'm still off track. Quite often.
Yeah, we're human. That's just the humanness of us.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, and that's it. Our children are miniature versions of us. So yeah, we're still all human beings, doing the best that we can with the resources we have, and giving ourselves permission of that is a good start. Giving ourselves permission that I don't know, I think I'm talking to myself right now. Like giving myself permission to not have all the answers, giving myself permission to drop the ball on the odd occasion, giving and on that. So when we do drop the ball, what would you suggest that might be some good things to do when we found that I did it again? Yeah.
It's really about oh goodness, like first of all acknowledging I slipped up, and being okay with that, eating that humble pie. Second of all is like going to apologize. I mean, I'm talking about kids here. Going to apologize for our if we've slipped up or whatever, or did something or done something that we don't normally do, and just sharing, maybe what sometimes, we can share what's going on. Sometimes we don't. And sometimes we can just go, when we have that, it's like, mum's got a lot of things. Because when our children are, they're living with us every day, and we've been, like you and I have been both on this journey for such a long time now, they come to recognize our way of speech. So, a lot of times, my son will go, have you got a lot of thinking going on now? And as soon as I say yes, he go, okay, like letting them off the hook, that whatever we are not okay about is not about them. It's because we have the thinking going on ourselves. It's got nothing to do with our children, with what's going on in the world or whatever. It's because we're not present in that moment. And so when we let them off the hook, it takes a load of pressure off of them, that's for sure. And when they realize that, after we've said it, I don't know how many years we've now both been doing it, but it gets a lot easier. Like they know just to leave mum alone, and sometimes it will be, oh, mum, do you need a hug, or do you need a, whatever? Do you want me to sit with you, mum? Whatever. And that's okay. But, knowing that for them, I think the main thing is letting them off the hook and knowing that it isn't them at all, it's whatever else is going on for us, because of course we can have thinking, we're humans.
That's it. Absolutely. So we might finish it off here, and just with maybe just taking note for yourself of what's going on sort of for you right now, and if you do find yourself getting a little bit annoyed or frustrated, and even if you do get to that point where you are maybe shouting a little more, that just take that step back, take that timeout, which is probably the parental timeout, which is the only timeout I probably do condone.
Yeah. Zip our lips, put our hands in our pockets.
Zip your lips, put your hands in your pockets, and and be that role model for them too. Like you beautifully explained that just then, of how to model that, how to model the fact that we don't have to overshare. We don't have, we go, "Mummy, you okay?" You type thing, and go, "Actually, no, I'm not, but I will be after this cup of tea," or something like that. I've got a lot on my mind, and I actually lean into that quite a lot, because sometimes I'm not even sure that what I'm looking like on the outside, and my kids pick it up. They pick it up very quickly. And
oh yeah, they're so cluey.
And of course, my eldest one will move towards me, and then I'm like, thank you for pointing that out, because I didn't know. I thought I was getting away with it, right? But I didn't know. And so I will be after after I just have her lay down, or whatever it is that you need in that moment. So beautiful. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Wonderful. Yeah. So Jazakallah here, sis, for joining me. My apologies for anyone who sort of sees that this was a little bit messy. This is not how they usually run, but we're Daniela and I are very seasoned in the off the cuff, go in the moment.
Yeah. Sorry about the.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Alhamdulillah. And we have a very, very passionate about this particular topic. So if you would like to know more information, well, first, one off, you've got this website link that's running across the bottom of the screen. That if you're feeling like you're needing support, particularly in the current issues at the moment, feel free to log into that link and reach out to us, or reach out to Back to the Fitrah, and we can support you. And also, if you go to our website, backtothefitrah.com, there's also a parenting area there as well, that you can gain access to resources and support also, which you may actually be working with one of these two mugs here. So we do love this work. So anyway, Jazakallah here, Daniela. Such a pleasure to be chatting with you, and we'll see you again soon, inshallah.
Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum, everyone.